Hey everybody, I am so excited to be with you today. I'm introducing another cookbook that I really enjoy cooking from. This one is called Whole Bowls. It's written by a woman named Allison Day, and she also runs a food blog, theyummybeat.com.org, I don't know. But there's a cute little picture of her. And today we are working on this thing called the Purple Veggie Rice Bowl. So if you have seen some of the whole plant-based diet experiment vlogs that I did earlier in the summer of 2019, you will have seen me cook from this book a lot and possibly even seen the Purple Veggie Bowl in our house or heard me talk about it. So it looks like so. It's one of my favorites because it's so beautiful. So this bowl, and I will tell you, with a lot of her bowls, because she is purposely adding all the things into one bowl. So a really good amount of vegetables, a grain, a bean or a protein, some healthy fats, lots of texture, the whole bit. It ends up having a lot of parts, which can seem overwhelming. But I break that up. And in her book, she too has these little boxes that talk about make ahead, things that you can do ahead of time. So I want to point that out. You do not have to sit down and do all of this in one setting, and I haven't. So I went to the store this week on Saturday because our Sunday was going to be really full. And we actually have a house guest right now. So I'm kind of doing double duty. So I bought 2 bunches of beets. As soon as I got home, I put them in a pot. I boiled them. I went downstairs. I filmed a whole other segment. I came upstairs. The beets were done. They were on low so they wouldn't burn over. I let them cool. Later that day, I slipped off the peels. I sliced them. I stuck them in here. I stuck them in the fridge. So the beets, ready to go. That same day, I bought radishes. And I grabbed my food processor. I put on the slicing scallopy type attachment. I did the whole bunch of radishes. So I have radishes for this dish and for a dish in 3 days from now. My radishes for the week are done. I don't have to think about it. Tasty. Radishes actually keep really well, which is beautiful. Garbanzo beans. So these are canned. Again, you can do them yourself. You can soak beans overnight while you're sleeping and then turn on a crock pot in the morning, let them go for 8 hours. I haven't, as I shared with some of you, just the storage gets to be a bit much. So these I pulled out of the can, I drained them, they're ready to go. That's not any work at all. That is so fast. My cilantro garnish. I chopped cilantro yesterday. I wasn't real picky. I didn't take off all the stems. I cut where the bunch would have all the leaves, and I cut it up. So there's some thin stem, but it's not going to hurt you. It's not that kind of a dish that you need to be really funny about those stems. That same day I pulled out my food processor, same attachment. I sliced up all my red cabbage. So I have cabbage for the week. This, again, cruciferous vegetable. We want to try to get a serving of cruciferous vegetables in every day if we can. So things like cabbage, Brussels sprouts, fit that category. So much of this meal is done. I need to do my rice. So I have prepped in my rice cooker actually 4 cups dry of rice because our family is large. I want to serve this for dinner and I want to have some for leftovers tomorrow. So one thing about this, when I do water, and I have shared this in other videos, the directions to rice cookers often say however many cups of rice or quinoa or whatever, plus a 1/4 to a 1/2 cup extra. I have found that creates kind of a dry rice. So not as much so as with, say, black rice where I double it, but I'm going to do, that's 3, now 4, 5, and another 1/2. So I've done 5 1/2 just to create, I don't think you'll be able to see it very well, but there's this much water sitting over that. So the great thing about the rice, I'm going to cook it. I am really picky. I don't like my rice to keep warming. So I'm going to turn it on. When that is done, I'm going to move from a warming situation to, I'm just going to turn it off. I'm going to fluff it, and that rice will be good for dinner in a few hours. When I store it for the next day, I'm going to put it in a container, and I'm going to take it and put a little bit of water. Maybe that's a half cup of water by the time you're done with it, so that it doesn't dry out in the fridge for the next day. But the great thing about this particular meal, it's sort of like a salad. So you can have warm components, but you don't have to. Okay, so that's most of the components. There's actually a hazelnut. I don't have hazelnut. There's also radicchio, which is kind of a purpley lettuce cabbage, often sold in pretty small heads for probably $6 a pound. So occasionally I will spring and grab a radicchio. But with my cabbage and my beets, the radicchio is extra, and I don't necessarily want to cut one more thing up or spend the money doing it when I can get cabbage for a much better price. So be the boss of yourself, kind of know what you want to do. Hazelnuts I often do have, I just don't have them today. So I'm probably going to substitute pecans, which are going to be crushed up on top. But obviously there's almonds, there's cashews, there's macadamia nuts. Macadamia nuts would be wonderful. So these recipes don't have to be hard and fast. Now, her recipe calls for 1 serving. So when she makes the dressing, this is the healthy fat that goes on top. And just to say, if you were to look at some of the whole plant cookbooks, they don't use a lot of coconut milk because of the extra fats that exist in there. This particular woman uses a lot of it. It was kind of a vogue ingredient recently. It's tasty, but I think that the key in all of it is vary your diet, right? So have coconut stuff sometimes, but don't have it every day, like anything. So it calls for 2 tablespoons of coconut milk. And so I have some coconut milk from a previous day, and then I've opened another one, and I would want at least 6 servings for tonight. So this is a bit laborious, this notion of like, okay, now I gotta measure out. There's my 1 serving, my 2 servings, my 3 servings. I'm gonna guess this is 5 servings. Just gonna dump that last little bit in there. And then this is an organic coconut milk. The different coconut milks you're gonna find have a different consistency, how creamy it is, how liquidy it is. So there's 6 servings. Probably want to like double this. Probably going to use most of this. So 2, 3, 4. Eventually I'll probably be like, why did I measure? 5, 6. So I'm going to have the smallest amount left in this jar, which is so sad. But if you make smoothies or anything like that, also you could like put it in your cereal, in your coffee. I actually really like coconut milk in my coffee. But some people are worried about the fat content. So if you're eating a highly whole plant-based diet, the amount of fat, it kind of works differently than when you're eating a lot of dairy and a lot of meat products. Your body processes plant-based fat differently, as I understand it. Okay, so we've got our coconut milk. Then it calls for either hazelnut oil or olive oil. So actually, let me grab my oil. I used to keep oil on the counter because I used it so much. But in recent months, I haven't been using as much oil. So I'm no longer keeping it on the counter. And it calls for 2 teaspoons of oil. So tablespoons are 2.5 teaspoons. So what I'm going to do, I've got 12 servings in here. I'm going to just not fill my tablespoon up to the top. Also, I don't really need that much oil. So I'm going to go for 2 teaspoons. And, you know, I'm being pretty not exact. So if you are the type of person that prefers exactness, please don't let me stop you. And then it's 2 teaspoons per serving of the lemon juice as well. And lemon juice, I just love. So I'm going to go the full amount. Plus it's really flavorful. I'm at 6. That's 8. And I have shared, you can make your own lemon juice out of actual lemons, just grinding them up in a blender. And then you can freeze them, or you could put a small container in your fridge if you can use it all up in a week. I probably could actually if I did it. I haven't, because I feel like there's so much else going on in my life that why? Just why? So I have gone ahead and bought my lemon juice in bulk. And I think that's the key. You got to do what you need to do. It's really dangerous to talk and go fishing around in your cupboards for things. I'm actually really short, so even though my kitchen is great for short people, I still have to go on my tiptoes and climb around. So what I'm grabbing is salt and pepper. Is what's happening here. And we're almost done. So it's coconut milk, oil, lemon juice, salt, and pepper. And it's a lot of salt. It's called for a 1/4 teaspoon per. If I was doing 12 servings, you're looking at 3 teaspoons. That just seems like a lot. So I'm going to have it. I'm going to go for 1.5 teaspoons. And if for some reason you're eating and you're like, oh, what this meal really needs is salt, then go ahead and add salt. But your lemon juice has a ton of flavor. And then pepper, it's black pepper to taste. I always just sprinkle an amount in. But as I've shared with you, I think pepper's kind of spicy, and kids tend to have something to say about that. So I don't always use as much pepper. So all you do is whisk it together. And you could use a fork. I watched my grandmother how many times whisk with a fork. Same concept. I happen to have 2 whisks, so I should use them once in a while. And this is a really beautiful creamy dressing because I was using this organic coconut milk that happens to have a really nice quality to it. So sometimes you're gonna make this coconut milk dressing, and if you used a different brand of coconut milk, you're gonna get a thinner consistency. This one just happens to be beautifully thick. But the great thing about this is not like a dairy-based dressing where you're going to have to worry about it spoiling. If you have people with lactose allergies, you're not dealing with that. So here it is. It's a lot actually, but our family likes to have that wetness. You're putting a lot of dry, raw ingredient. If you're serving to kids, sometimes sauce goes a long way in helping them kind of learn to eat these kinds of foods. So my rice is going, my cilantro's done, my dressing is done. You've seen all those little components. That's it, besides the crushed nuts. You can have this out, like my family is going to eat in shifts. They're not all going to eat at the same time today because they're busy. So I've talked to you in 13 minutes as of this moment. Did it take me longer than that to do all this? It did, but I did some of it for the week. So that is a great way. If you know you're going to be busy, pick a night or a weekend. If you have the ability to watch shows while you're doing it, you could sit with a coffee table in front of you and cut things. You could some people have TVs in their kitchen, or we have mobile devices now. So you can entertain yourself, you can be talking to other people. If you have children, my little ones, my especially little ones, like the one you saw yesterday, they are happy just to go throw stuff away. Like, do you want to throw this away? Yeah, they're so excited. So you can do other things at the same time and then really just spend 15 minutes or less prepping your dinner on the day up. So that is the Purple Veggie Bowl. Enjoy it. It's one of my favorites. And I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.